Hello everybody, and welcome back to my little corner of the world here. So, I'm a man that suffers from way too many hobbies and way too many passions, and one of them is menswear, and my favorite form of menswear being suits. And so, went a little overboard this year and have 8 new suits that I want to share with all of you. So let's get into it. Quick reminder, if you like these videos, please give it a like, sub to the channel. Got a lot more stuff coming out with suits, menswear, fragrances, and also I'm gonna do some tailoring videos soon. I think that'll be fun. So let's get into it. So this is a backstory. I did splurge a little bit, but these suits I basically accumulated over the past month and a half or two, and then just saved them till Christmas, so I had something to look forward to. It's actually kind of fun because by the time that I opened them, I forgot that I even had them. So kind of cool. But I love suits. I wear them all day, every day. So I'm going to probably get into it a little bit with each suit, but not so much that it's going to make this video 5 hours long. So that being said, let's just get into it. So the first suit that I have here, also I forgot to say, I don't buy sports coats or blazers anymore. I have so many. I have a suit collection of probably 150 at this point. And so all of these suits are full 2-piece suits. But I'm just showing the jacket and the pattern just to save time. So the first suit that I'm going to show is first for a reason. It smells awful. So the second that I'm done with this thing is going in the washing machine. If you want to know more about how to wash your garments, wool garments, never go with a dry cleaner. Never go. I can always tell when I'm buying suits and clothing which articles have gone to the dry cleaner. The dry cleaners destroy garments. So if you want to know how I do it, make sure you hit the subscribe button. There will be a video coming out soon on it. Let's just get into it. First, this. Oh, it smells so bad. The original actually came with the original suit casing, and I swear people hate wearing suits, and what that means is they have one suit and they never wear it, and then when they die, people sell them. I don't get it. I love suits. And this one basically smells like somebody died in this suit. It would not surprise me if a person was buried in this suit and someone dug him up, grabbed the suit, and sold it to me. It smells that bad. But it's a very interesting pattern. It's a shark skin, so it's very reflective, and it has stripes with a little bit of pink in there. And this is a suit made by my favorite design house, at least for suits, and that's a Brioni. So you can see it smells even worse on the inside. This particular one made for cousins. You can also see all throughout the lining Brioni's little signature, whatever, lining and I really enjoy Brionis and how they fit. Now this guy has a lot of fraying, very stiff, which, because it's a shark skin pattern, it actually isn't going to be that hard to pass it off. It's just, you can't really see that much of it on camera, but it's so reflective. And the reason why I got it for absolutely nothing, essentially, is it has some damage to the cuffs. And these cuffs are like 1.5 to 2 inches too long anyways, so I have to take them up to begin with, so I really don't care. The pants look like absolute parachutes. So that'll be really fun tapering it. I'll probably make a video on that as well. But Brioni's, I can't remember what year they were established, mid-1900s I believe, Italian luxury designer house. Brand new Brioni's typically go for $4,000 to $7,000, all made in Italy, all fully canvassed. I'm not going to get into that too much, but I'll put out a video going into what makes suits nice, and what you should look for as well. Like this irregularities in the collar, indicating that this collar was attached by hand. The more handwork on a suit, typically the more expensive. So this is my first one. I'm gonna put this to the side now because the smell is absolutely nauseating. But to say that I love Brioni's is an understatement. I have 8 of them and just love them. Love Brioni's. Highly recommend them. Let's get into the next one. This next one is a, gosh, what do you call that? Like a taupe, Taupe, like grayish green, and it's bird's eye, which is the pattern here. Very difficult to tailor bird's eye because these little dots here that make up the pattern, they want to come undone. There's nothing that they want to do more than to come undone. And you can see a little bit of fraying there on the back that I'll have to address, as well as a tiny holes on the lapel. And the lapel is absolute death to try to fix. I hate it. Basically, you have to open it up here and fuse the fabric together. It's not wonderful. I don't like it. But another made in Italy. This is a I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce this right, but Corneliani, which is another suit that you can get at Saks Fifth Avenue. They compete around in the same proximity with canali's and middle suits, I guess you could say. Middle class, not middle class, but middle grade as far as expense is concerned, probably around $1,500. And Corneliani, fully lined. This particular one is double-breasted, obviously, not vented, and looks like a really nice traditional Italian. So my style. I'm either dressing like 1920s or 1930s British, or vintage, which these are vintage pieces, vintage Italian, or maybe 40s or 50s Americana. So but this one's really cool. I like it. I wish that it did not have. I actually bought a canali that was just gorgeous, a royal blue, and it had the same issue with the frame. But the good thing about these is you get a jacket that has the lining. The inside, they all are similar color, so nothing stands out. In a perfect world. My first Corneliani. I believe they also manufactured the Ralph Laurens. Oh, next one. So, this is another vintage, double-breasted, non-vented suit that also happens to be a bird's eye, but it's like a really dark charcoal, or I don't know. It's difficult to put this kind of color in a box. The wool is darling, fully lined, fully canvassed, oxhorn, buttons, nice quality. I think it has this tiny little blemish you see when you get these bird's eyes. I love bird's eye, but I hate bird's eye because it's something that, if there is a problem, you can see this tiny little hole there. If there is a problem with the bird's eye, it's very apparent. Like it kind of jumps out at you, and that's why I like suits that have some sort of like a plaid or something like that. And it's very easy to get away with diminishment. This guy is, I think this is a bit of an overrated brand myself, but it doesn't stop me from having 20 of them in my collection. I do really enjoy them, but I think that they're just a little overpriced, and I don't think that they're as good as people say. And that is a Ermenegildo ZEGNA. Ermenegildo ZEGNA typically sold at Neiman Marcus, so kind of a divergence from Saks, though I think that Saks does carry them now. But another beautiful vintage piece. And if you're going to go for vintage Italiana, why not actually get an actual vintage Italian? So, I mean, hand-stitched collars, everything that I've said so far. I think Brionis are a little bit nicer, but the ZEGNAs typically, there's such a wide variance, but probably around 4,000, 5,000 for a new ZEGNA. But what I really love about ZEGNA is the fact that they have their own textiles, and so they make their own fabric. And so you have a lot of Saks being included in this. You have a lot of stores and tailors that actually buy the fabric, and you can make a suit that does not cost $4,000 or $5,000 but uses the same fabric. So kind of cool. Ermenegildo ZEGNA. Not as much, hopefully, work to do with this, but talk about that in another video. Next, so this by far will not be done justice by this camera. In the camera, it kind of looks like it's black, but it's not. It's kind of like a chocolate, and this is by far my favorite new brand. Still incredibly overpriced. Here she is. My favorite suit out of this bunch as well. It's a really nice sort of burnt bronze liner, hand stitched collar. This particular one, double vented notch lapel, but also has surgeon's cuffs, which are functional buttonholes. So button comes out and then button goes in. So back in the early 1900s, they call them surgeon's cuffs, but back in the early 1900s, men used to wear jackets. You wouldn't be caught dead without a jacket. Actually, even before the early 1900s, like let's go late 1800s as well. And so men would not remove their jackets. Instead, they would unbutton their jackets and roll it up. And that was just how you did things. And so now, obviously, fashion's much different, but we keep that trend, and surgeon cuffs are now a symbol of highbrow, custom, bespoke fashion. So, without further ado, what is this beauty? The one thing that it did that I hate: single vent. I hate a single vent in the back. It's so American. I just don't like it. Either do non-vented or do a double vent. Personal preference, of course. Another thing that I really like, I think all suits should have this. This is your pocket that all jackets have, and then this tiny one up here is called a ticket pocket. This is for when you were traveling around. This is where you would put in your train ticket, whatever. Back when that was the way to get around. So, who makes this beautiful suit? It is. Now, I'm going to sound incredibly pretentious pronouncing this, but I swear this is how you pronounce it, I swear. Isaia. This is how you pronounce it in Italy. Isaia. It's spelled just like Isaiah, but it's Isaia. And that's Gianluca. This is their main line, but a little bit older. The older tags have Gianluca Isaia, which is the founder. And then again, this is Neiman Marcus as well. Gorgeous. This is my second Isaia, and first one. The fabric was really nice, but it was not constructed well. Isaia, 6,000 suit. They get very expensive, which is why I said they're incredibly overpriced. But I think that their fabrics and their textiles are better than any other brand out there. I wanted to show something real quick before I move on. So the Ermenegildo ZEGNA that I showed was a vintage from either the 80s or the 90s, and it actually came with this book, an original Ermenegildo ZEGNA book, which was printed on linen. So, I mean, it looks like it hasn't aged a day, even though it's 40 years old. And it just says, the best for the best. just think that that's so cool. So I don't know. I don't know who kept it, but thank you for keeping it. ZEGNA has developed a fashion project which centers on the suit, but widens to include every item of menswear. And they do, although the ZEGNAs, as we're going to talk about in a few minutes, because there's a perfect segue, the ZEGNAs have gone out to a lot of different countries. They're made in Switzerland. Suits and jackets and whatnot are still very, very high quality, same standards, same fabrics, but they have outsourced their dress shirts, I believe, to Turkey, and then some of their suits they've outsourced it to Mexico. So why is that important? Because they haven't necessarily changed their price, and you'll see in the world of suits, there's so many things that are so ego driven, and there's a lot of pride that people have in saying, I have a fully Italian suit, and they haven't changed that. They haven't changed the pricing. They remove the dress shirts to Turkey, but they still charge $150, $200 for a dress shirt. So, but I think it's a super cool book, and it even has a bookmark in it. I mean, how cool is this? So I'm definitely going to be keeping this. I think it's so cool. It's so cool. Thank you, whoever left that in there. So, gosh, I think that was my fun pile. So these might not be as exciting, but they're exciting to me. I really like them. 4 more. So, probably going to fall right on the floor. But they all have to be cleaned. So, oh, I forgot to say, isaia, Italian. I think I forgot to say that if I didn't. They're all Italian so far. This one kind of reminds me of a burlap sack, the color. It's really interesting. Now, with my complexion, I do have more of a reddish tint to my skin, but I don't generally try to avoid fabrics like this or colors because it just makes me look paler. Typically go with the darker ones, but again, I don't know. I don't think this one was hand stitched. This is definitely the cheapest suit that I've shown so far, but very modern. You have the diagonal pocket. You have traditional Italian 3-button. There's nothing really that fancy about the buttons. There's no buttonhole, button or whatever you want to call it there either, but this is a fully lined, fully canvassed jacket suit, and it's from my favorite brand, which is canali. Canali is made in Italy, constructed in Italy. I don't know if they have their own textiles, but no, this is hand sewn collar. All right, I stand corrected. Again, and I went over this in another video. You see irregularities and imperfections on garments. It actually drives up their price. Because it's an indication they were done by hand and not by machine. And all of these so far have been the same. But canali is a great brand for me. It fits my body structure, my body style perfectly right off the rack. Very minimal tailoring. And it's at a competitive price point for a fully canvassed, which is superior in every way. Fully canvassed suit from Italy. You know, they start around 800, go all the way up to probably 3,000. But I love canalis, and I will advocate for them till I am blue in the face. So don't expect the same level of quality as a Brioni or even a ZEGNA, but the compromise is that you have a lot of really interesting fabrics and a cheaper price point. Next one. Okay. Gosh. Let me go in reverse here. Hold on. I know they're gonna fall. I know they're gonna fall. Yeah. Alright. Try to outsmart. Try to outsmart the fabrics here. This is the next one. Kind of a odd brown. Has some fibers sticking up through it. You can see the collar using, it looks like lamb's wool, very crudely attached by hand with a like a pink thread. Odd. Made in Italy. Traditional 3 buttons, but look at the gorgeous buttons, gorgeous brown. And this is a, gosh, this is a 3 button. And a non-vented back. Very interesting fabric, interesting design. As you can see, slanted pockets, and this is a canali proposta. So this is when I said that I had something else to say about ZEGNA. ZEGNA and a lot of other high-end designer wares, they have these things called diffusion lines. And these diffusion lines are cheaper alternatives to the actual designer brand. Now ZEGNA has something called ZEGNA, and ZEGNA is outsourced to Mexico, and it uses cheaper fabrics, and it's not fully canvassed, so it starts around $600 or $700, and yeah, it's not fully canvassed, so it's basically, I mean, it's saving money every way that they can. And Canali has this line called a canali proposta, and I can't find out where they cut the corners, honestly. It's still fully canvassed, and the fabrics are really nice. It's still hand done, hand sewn, pick stitching, the whole 9 yards. So I don't know how or why this cuts corners, but I will say I have a couple of them and I really like them. Getting down to it. The last two. So this one stinks too. I'm gonna tell you something that nobody makes anymore is a fully tweed suit. Tweed is mostly out. It is a staple of early English menswear. 1920s, 1930s. Oh my gosh. Heavy tweeds, very heavy, and they keep you warm. And that's really why tweed was as good as it was. It's more expensive and harder to produce. I guess that's relative, compared to what. But this particular one is a heavy tweed. I mean, heavy tweed. And it has a plaid with sort of a reddish window pane. The buttons are nothing special. I think they're plastic. I don't even think that they're horn. So this is by far, I think, one of the strangest purchases I've ever made. Let me show it off. So 3-button, which traditionally the Italians have the 3-button. The English don't. So I don't know why it was 3-button. It is single vented, which drives me crazy. It is this particular one, hand stitch collar, nothing fancy. Let me show you who this is made by. Let's see. Moss Brothers. Have you ever heard of them? Neither have I. I got this for pretty cheap. Again, full suit, full tweed suit. Very difficult to come by because nobody makes them. And I thought that it would be primarily junk, primarily garbage. And when I got it, I was blown away by how heavy it was. And the heaviness of the fabrics tend to provide a lot more durability as well. But I was just playing around with it, and I was trying to find something that made it feel cheap. And I went to pull apart the lining, and this guy is fully canvassed. And so that's shocking. I know that Moss Brothers, just because they're still in business. This is, I believe, a vintage, but they're still in business. And when I look it up, it's cheap stuff. I don't know where it's made, but the newer stuff is made in Bangladesh, and cheaper fabrics, cutting every corner to provide suits for $300-400, but sale price they sell them for $200. So I know that they're just kind of junk, throwaway suits. But this isn't. And I went on there and expressly looked up fully canvassed Moss Brothers suits, and they don't exist. They said, yeah, no, that's not us. We're not about that. It's usually fully canvas suit starts at like 1,000, 1,200, or 1,200. Yeah, 1,200. I said it right the first time. So this is just a complete freak of nature. The one thing about this suit that I'm not excited about is the pants are not lined. So in the pants you'll have a rayon lining that protects you from chafing, and it doesn't have that, so I'm sure it's going to be very uncomfortable to wear. But super interesting. Very interesting. Okay. The last one, which I think might be the best one. I don't know. My isaia one's pretty cool. I like it. Last one. Boom. Now, there's a lot of people out there that would tell you that black is the most overrated color for menswear and just clothing in general. And I agree most times, but if you're trying to send a signal, trying to send a message, it's also the most intimidating color. And it's a color that projects authority. So I think every man needs to have a couple of really good black suits. And if you don't want a black suit, then get a pattern suit like this. This material is incredible, and I was able to absolutely steal it. And the reason why I was able to steal it is because of this. Surgeon's cuffs, but whoever the tailor was that did these surgeon's cuffs absolutely mangled them. I mean, mangled them. And this is how you do a surgeon's cuff. You cut a slit in the fabric like a keyhole. Then you have like this tiny little strip of nylon that you put in to enforce the edges. Then you can then take your machine and sew that piece of nylon there into what they call this the miter, which this miter is coming undone. I need to reinforce that. There's a lot of stuff I need to do here, but anyways, the buttons are gorgeous, by the way. That was why I was able to get it so cheap. And this is an absolutely gorgeous suit. It's like a flannel, almost feels like a cotton, even though it's not, obviously. This is a 2-button, 3-button, good for you suit, and it is made by Ralph Lauren. But this is not just a Ralph Lauren. Ralph Laurens are typically made in Canada, or I think they have some that are made in Mexico, but I think primarily made in Canada, outsourced, non-canvassed, fused together, single vented, which is gross. Again, gross. And this is the purple label. The purple label, I don't even know why they bothered calling it Ralph Lauren, which, by the way, if I was more pretentious, see, this is where I get to redeem myself by calling it Ralph Lauren. It's Ralph Lauren, not Ralph Lauren. I called it Ralph Lauren for a while. People made fun of me. I thought that was the correct way to say it because that's the correct French pronunciation, until I heard Ralph Lauren say his name, and he said it, Ralph Lauren. From that point on, I didn't say Ralph Lauren anymore. This is a Ralph Lauren purple label, and the purple label is their cream of the crop. It's the best that they come up with, and they outsource it. I mean, they outsource everything, obviously, but they outsource the manufacturing to Italy. And this particular one is made in England, so I'm not entirely sure who they outsourced this one to, because I know for a time they were even outsourcing it to Corneliani. It's going to take me forever to get that. Anyways, one of the first suits that I showed you. This one to be made in England. I'm not sure who did it, but it's just luxury. Gorgeous. Hand-sewn collars, fully canvas, obviously, cream of the crop. So, but these suits typically start at like 7,000 or 8,000. They're up there with like Kitons, and there's not nearly as many of them that come out, which means that they're kind of difficult to find on the secondhand market or used. And maybe that's just because people don't want to sell them to. So that was the one reason, or the one thing that makes ZEGNAs purchasable, that's not a word, is the fact that they produce so many of them. There's so many of them on the secondhand market. I picked up ZEGNAs for $20 or $30 before. They usually require quite a bit of work though. But anyways, those are my suit jackets. They have pants that come with them. So for the next few weeks, probably even months, I have to go through the washing. Then I have to go through with the pants. They're all going to need to be tapered and then cuffed, hemmed, and then cuffed. And then probably taking a lot of the jackets. A couple of the sleeves need to be moved up. So buying vintage and buying secondhand is great, and I love it. And you'll still save money even if you take it to a tailor. But when you can't do these things yourself and you employ a tailor, is much less financially beneficial for you. If you buy a canali, for instance, you say you spend $100 and there's no flaws in it, but it doesn't fit you, you take it to a tailor, they charge you $150. Well, now you spent $250. Well, if you got a canali on sale, you might have only spent $700. So the more work that you do to your aftermarket suit, employing other people, is just lessens and lessens the deal that you got. So in the future, I plan on making some videos about tailoring, simple tailoring, hemming, and that kind of stuff to truly maximize everything. So anyways, my energy was a little bit lower tonight. I don't know why. I think just looking at this big pile and knowing that I have a lot of work to do. So anyways, thank you everybody, and look forward to talking to you all soon. Be well.